All right. It's the Beat Cops Guide. The Beat Cops Guide live video podcast, which does look like at this point that it has correctly started.
Oh, no.
On both YouTube and Facebook. So.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so we'll see.
I don't know how to react to that.
Because this is the Iowa Caucus of podcasts normally.
That's right, and we are the Iowa DNC.
Right. My name is Lieutenant David Haynes, and I am a Chicago police officer. And I also am I think I could say I review restaurants on WGN on Bob Surratt's morning show.
You're a food media guy.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I got a great invitation today. So,
whoop! Someone's walked in the room and thrown something
call.
At you.
Oh, it's my daughter's. It's my daughter's report card. All right, will you introduce yourself first?
I'm Bill Garlington. I am a writer and an author and stuff.
An award-winning
author and columnist.
An award-winning author, columnist, and an award-winning father.
That part's not true.
He won the award for the best dad jokes of the
best
2000.
Dad who is a joke. Hey, look, it's the other daughter. What up? You like my new haircut? I call it the Marge.
Do you want to come and be on? We're broadcasting live to Facebook and YouTube. Oh, we're supposed to start the watch party too.
Yeah, we don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, we're just. This is
come
the
be
Iowa
media consultant.
This is the Iowa Caucus.
We're about to read your sister's grades on live on the air.
Yeah. So if you're interested.
What grade is she in?
She's in 8th grade.
How are you in 8th grade? All A's.
Straight A's. Yeah. She was straight A's until she got into high school and then went off the rails. All right, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. While you're doing all this stuff,
all right.
Dave?
I'm actually I went and tried to find my favorite tobacco, and it was not available, and so I had to get. I tried something new.
All the stuff I gave you.
Which one? The plum pudding?
The early morning pipe.
No, you didn't give me any. You walked out of the house last week after you told me you were going to give me some and forgot.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Well, that's your fault.
All right. How do you start a? What do you call it?
A watch party.
A watch party.
What I do.
Do you hit share or something, or?
You look at the video.
I'm looking at it.
That is playing live on our Beat Cops Facebook page.
Yes.
Okay. And I can't do anything because mine's not scrolling down.
Yeah, I don't. I can share it.
This is what the Teletubbies look like when they grow up. Here.
You can write a post, but you can't. I can't start a watch party. So.
Well, I'm not seeing the.
All right, but we are. It is broadcasting. I'm seeing it, so I don't know why you're not seeing it. And hopefully we're broadcasting on YouTube. And I'm not looking, but I'll try while we're doing this. And I'm sorry to do this while we're actually doing it, but we screw up so often that we have to actually have. We have to actually make sure.
All right, here we go. I'm starting a watch party.
All right. So how is it on your? Oh, it's on. It has to be on your personal page.
I don't know.
Oh, well, maybe that's why. I'll try that in a minute.
Here we go.
Yeah. So. Oh. All right. So Chris has started a watch party. If you're watching on Facebook, you can go to Chris Garlington and do the watch party, or Bull Garlington, or however you. And I'm going to also just check real quick.
What is going on with your phone, man?
It's the vibrations.
Good vibrations. Dave's new album is going to drop in 2 weeks, and that's our first song. And, speaking of good vibrations, did you see Brian Wilson?
I saw some headline about him. But
Brian Wilson said don't listen to the Beach Boys because they are playing at some hunting.
They're playing what?
They're playing some hunting thing.
What do you mean, some hunting?
Some hunting convention or something. And they're playing there, and Brian Wilson goes, no, don't go, because I don't support hunting, and I'm a real Beach Boy. These guys are just hired hands.
Really?
Yep.
He doesn't support hauntings or hunting?
I don't know his position on hauntings, but for hunting...
Hunting, all right.
Hunting, wherein one kills an animal...
All right. I'm sorry,
unsuspecting animal.
The Alabama accent every once in a while comes through. All right, so hey, I'm sorry. Going back to I'm smoking the Great Outdoors pipe tobacco by.
Oh, I've always wondered about it. How is it?
It's just okay.
Just okay.
Just okay.
How unfortunate for you.
Yes, it is. It's just okay. It's not. I was looking for my favorite, either nightcap or early morning pipe.
And I've got.
And I specifically asked
Mississippi Mud. And let's see if I brought. I did not. All right.
How's that Mississippi Mud?
God, I love it so much. It's like an English aromatic. It's by Cornell and Deal, and I don't even know how to explain it. It's just very flavorful.
All right, so my daughter just walked in and threw her report card at me, which, knowing that she knows what I'm doing, probably does not inspire confidence that I'm going to like what I see. She's giving it to me when she knows that I won't flip out. Well, it's not too bad. It's better than I ever got.
Now, this tobacco is delicious.
Not better than she ever got, though.
Uh-oh. How's her allowance going to be affected by this? Read them out loud, Dave.
She got 2 Bs. Wait, no, I'm sorry. She got 1 B. No, 2 Bs. She got 2 Bs.
Buh-buh.
2 Bs.
So far it spells buh-buh.
All the rest are A's. 2 Bs.
So ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
She got a B in Spanish and a B in mathematics.
Chihuahua.
So she'll only be grounded for 2 weeks. Because in my house, damn it. It's funny. I remember when my kids, especially my daughter, my son was pretty, grade-wise, was fairly average. But my daughters have both been almost straight A's. And so I remember there were times where they would bring home report cards with C's on them. And I'd be like, what the hell? C, you got it. How'd you get a C? And I'm like, and mostly in my mind, it was not because the grades were bad that I thought, but because they were worse than what they normally get. My wife, on the other hand, said, when was the last time you came home with just 1 C? When in school did you ever just get a
That is not the point.
I know it's not.
That is not.
It's not how you compare to me. It's how do you compare to yourself.
That's right. We're already done. There's no hope for us,
right.
But for the rest of you cats, you can get through this.
I need somebody to be making more money when I'm old enough that I can't live on my own.
People are joining our watch party, and I don't know who they are.
Good.
I know who Lisa Guiardini is, but I don't know who Richard Pepe is.
Well, whatever. Leave comments and tell him that he should know who you are.
I should know who you are. I should be better at this. We don't have a light. What's going on? We look dark in here. Should I go around and turn that on? Or?
Nah.
Yeah, okay.
You know what? I'll figure out some lights. All right. So what do we want to talk about first? I want to talk about some politics today, but we also have
normally should we do politics at the end, or should we do it first?
All right. We can do it at the end, but this time we got to save time because we end up going off on tangents and we end up not talking about politics. Generally speaking, on this podcast, we talk about food first, then movies or video. Because nowadays we hardly go to the movies.
Yeah,
we see everything on Netflix. Movie?
All right, you want to time this? Let's give ourselves.
So food, then movies, because there are a couple movies I want to talk about,
yeah.
And then
we don't want to do our first thing, which is weird stuff.
Well, I don't have any weird stuff. Do you?
I'm beginning to have a conspiracy theory suspicion.
Oh, actually, can I give you mine, and we'll see if it's the same as yours? Because if it is. It would sound more conspiratorial.
I've written mine down, so I can't cheat. This is the truth.
All right. First of all, for those of you who are new and joining us, like Lisa.
Hello.
All right. We used to do a lot more politics. We don't anymore because we don't like fighting with each other. So
that's right.
But I am generally
because I'm a Democrat and Dave is wrong.
Right. I'm generally a moderate Republican, and Chris is a far left. Hippie
I am
liberal.
not a far left.
So
Democrat. I am a moderate Democrat with a progressive leaning.
So as a moderate Republican, I really don't have a dog in the fight for the Democratic primary election season. All right. But I have to say, and I am generally not a conspiracy theorist, but I have to say this Iowa caucus has really made me start to believe that somebody's out to get Bernie. I mean, I just don't understand how. I mean, you look at some of these coincidences, 2016 election, the fact that this app that failed was set up and run by Hillary Clinton former staffers. I mean, I mean, at some point, there's just too many coincidences for this to be.
The fact that Pete Buttigieg,
I don't
was
think
an
it has
investor.
anything. I don't think it has anything to do with Pete Buttigieg.
I don't either, but if we're in conspiracy theory land, I'm going to throw down.
No, I just think it has to do with I'm looking at this going, boy, I mean, I don't like Bernie, but damn, I mean, we have to at least give the guy a chance. I mean,
Well, first of all, I love Bernie. And,
but is that your conspiracy theory?
No. It's
Oh,
not.
okay,
Like,
all right.
mine's completely
All right.
out
I-
left
that-
field weirdness.
I just wondered if that would be if we would have the same.
The thing is that the professional political landscape as a career, as an industry, is pretty small. So the idea that the staffers on a finished campaign, they're going to go somewhere, all right? And I mean, if Hillary's campaign had a lot of workers who are highly technical because they did a lot of highly technical work. So if these guys saw an opportunity, why shouldn't they take it? I don't think it has anything.
I don't think that. I'm not talking about that, but we can get to politics later.
Okay.
I just wanted to see if my conspiracy theory is.
All right,
so
sorry.
give us your conspiracy.
My conspiracy theory is that. Well, let me just throw some stories at you, and you tell me how they add up.
Okay.
All right. First story. NASA reports that they've been receiving fast radio signals from a star 500 million miles away every 16 days.
Wait a minute. Okay. All right.
So they're fast radio pulses, which is different from regular radio static buzz. Like the regular stuff in the universe is like if a radio was just stuck on static. These are quantified or what's the word? It's qualia. So they're like that kind of thing, right?
Right.
Fast radio pulses every 16 days.
Okay.
That's weird, right?
Is it an SOS signal or just?
I don't know.
all right.
I don't know.
That
But
would be really weird.
It is real and it's already weird. All right. Secondly, Voyager, which left our solar system and our galaxy, and is off in the other part of the universe, literally past the liminal edge of our own universe
Right.
or galaxy. I'm not sure of the difference.
Galaxy.
Lost track with it forever, for a long time ago. They just turned it back on, or did it just turn on? They now have full signal process with Voyager.
What did NASA say? That they turned it on, or that?
They said they turned it on, but kind of a
Are we
coincidence,
gonna
right?
believe NASA?
Yeah, and now a former DOD guy who worked with NASA says UFOs are real.
Well, I don't.
Here's
understand
my
how-
theory. Wait,
Okay.
I'm not done.
All right.
Here's my theory. Aliens are already here, and the cover-up's about to end, and we're about to find out. That's my conspiracy theory.
And one of them is Bernie Sanders, which then
They
come
want to
right
get
in
they want to get home. Oh, okay, yeah, and they need authoritarian leadership. Otherwise, they can't get the kind of productivity they need. My other conspiracy theory, which is that our current technology is because an alien crash landed in 1903 in the Tinduscan forest and started the technology upheavals that allowed us to be where we are right now because they need parts for their ship.
I actually, I mean, let me put it this way. I don't think that that's true, but I would not be surprised if it was. Because, I mean, you look at the hockey stick, the way
Exactly.
the way society has
Nothing
improved.
happened for 500 billion years, and suddenly, zap, we've got the internet. Zap,
Right.
we've got self-driving cars. I'm telling you, there's an alien there
yeah.
somewhere.
So it wouldn't shock the crap out of me to find that out.
I thought my conspiracy theory was because I'm only allowing myself one. I thought it was that the reason that Donald Trump is president is to distract us from the giant asteroid that's hurtling towards Earth and is going to end all life as we know it. If we don't look up, we won't notice it. We won't panic. So we've got a crazy person keeping us distracted so that we die with dignity. That was my theory about his presidency.
And
I don't know what Shannon Zimmerman would say about that. But
when did that go away? I would love if our current situation, and I'm talking about on both sides, left and right, would allow us to die with dignity at this point. I think dignity's gone. I think we've lost the dignity.
I agree. Look at my hat. So I think maybe what we should say here is die without panicking. over being killed by.
All right, we'll get into more politics in a little while. So, all right, so
on to food.
This morning I was on Bob Surratt's show and I reviewed Monty's.
What was that like?
It was fun because
really
he's never been there. Jealous. His hat is turning green with envy. So we talked about Monty's Philly cheesesteak.
All right, let's do this.
Have you ever been there?
I have not.
All right. It's at Tallman. It's a little south of Lawrence on Tallman, which is it's a real kind of a pain in the ass location if you're looking for it. Because if you want to drive there, you actually have to go to the street west of Tallman, drive a block south to Washtenaw, drive a block east, and then drive north on Tallman. Because Tallman is a one-way northbound street, and Washtenaw is a one-way eastbound street, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to get to. It's better to just park on Lawrence right by Tallman and walk your lazy ass a quarter of a block to get down to Monty's, or take an Uber and then you can drink and not worry about it.
But it's a classic. It's a classic joint, right?
It's like a neighborhood bar. What is that?
I'm sorry. I'm looking at the picture of me on the screen and realizing that I think that picture right there detracts from my hat. I don't like it.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to take it off the wall or burn it down.
Well, we need more light. Look at your hat; doesn't even show up very well.
I know.
So we need more light.
So anyway, you're at Monty's, and Monty's has been around for how long?
About 10 years, I think. I actually didn't ask it. Yeah, it's not that long, but it's like a neighborhood bar, and it looks like it was an old neighborhood bar that was turned into a restaurant. And they still have a full bar, and they are nuts about Philadelphia. They play all the Philadelphia Eagles, the Philadelphia Flyers, and what's the basketball team? 76ers?
Go Eagles.
The 76ers. And but they serve Philly cheesesteaks, traditional hoagies and cheesesteaks.
We have to be clear, this is not a Chicago cheesesteak sandwich.
Right.
It's
this
a
is
Philly
a Philly
cheesesteak.
cheesesteak. And not only, I mean, they are so nuts, and this is why you would love it, and this is why this is our kind of place.
You fucking hit me again, man.
These guys are so nuts that they actually fly the bread in from Philadelphia every day.
That's not nuts, man. That's serious.
That's
committed.
They
You and
want
I
it to be a real Philly cheesesteak.
What did we say when we wrote our book? We want to write about people that are completely insane.
Right.
That are obsessed with what they do, that have devoted their life to the one thing that they can do perfectly.
Right.
So flying in the bread, that's the right thing to do.
And it's from a bakery called Omarosa's Bakery in
Philadelphia,
New Jersey, actually.
No, seriously, really?
The Omarosa the actual bakery is in New Jersey, but it's the bakery that's been around for 116 years that all of the Philadelphia cheesesteak places have been using.
All right, so it's the real deal.
It's the real bakery.
Yeah.
And they fly the bread in, and they make these cheesesteak sandwiches out of Angus ribeye beef, and they're just, I mean, I've had cheesesteak sandwiches at places that just make them like Chicago, Vienna bread or Toronto bread or whatever.
I mean, it's okay.
And it's okay. It's good. They're not bad.
It's bread.
You have that one in the mall where they do the sort of the steak sandwiches, but there's something different about these. I mean, they're really good.
Is there really something different, or is it because they talked about it, you believe that it's different?
It could be, but my mouth is watering. I want one right now. I mean, it really is.
Drool.
It's really good. They have one called the Rocky, which packs a punch because it's got habaneros.
When you order it, do you have to go
and serranos on it?
Adrian.
And they have Southside Johnny.
Is Monty's what you reviewed on the Bob Surratt show today?
Yeah, today. Yeah.
Okay, I don't know because I didn't listen.
Oh, that's nice. Every Friday at 6:30 on Bob Surratt, AM 720 WGN.
I'm asleep.
You can listen to the Bob Surratt podcast, where his whole show is uploaded later on Friday mornings at Google Play as well.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to start going radio station to radio station, and I'm going to find myself a slot somewhere on Fridays, and I'm going to review movies too.
We get offered slots every once in a while, but we have to pay for them.
Yeah, well, I'm not paying for it. How much?
I don't know. I never got to that point.
I mean, I can get an
advertiser
advertiser
more
for
money
that
on
stuff.
this hobby. We have to start making money on this hobby.
We're never going to make money.
We have to make money.
We're not going to make money on this. Nobody makes money on this.
To get all of your YouTube buddies and tell them to subscribe to this button that's down here underneath our picture.
Not because we're good, because we're not. We're not good. We need the money.
tell all your friends that are older. YouTube is.
Tell your dad.
Facebook is great, but YouTube. Yeah, tell your dad because there's no YouTube videos out there for guys our age.
That's right.
And that's why we're here. We're filling.
Look at
niche.
these. Look at these bellies. All
We're
right?
filling a niche.
We're filling a lot. We're filling our shirts.
Big niche.
A big shirt niche, and we're smoking pipes. And we're talking about stupid shit. That's your dad.
Yeah.
Tell him about this podcast.
We tell dad jokes. We'll share how to mess with our kids. We'll do all kinds of stuff. So all right. So that was my. I also did that in Delightful Pastries, which is a place at 59, I think 37 on Lawrence, who makes police cookies. And police
They have hash in them, or-
decorated cookies. No, they have the police star and the
That's
blue
cool.
line.
That's cool.
And they're raising money for the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation through the whole month of February. All of their cookies that they sell, they're giving half to the Chicago Police Memorial Foundation. So
That's pretty awesome.
go buy cookies.
Go buy some cookies.
At Delightful
the
Pastries,
cops.
5900 on Lawrence.
Cop cookies. Before I talk about my stuff, somebody asked what flavor of tobacco we're smoking. I am smoking Mississippi Mud.
Yeah, and I'm smoking this. It's okay. It's great outdoors, quality pipe tobaccos. You know what? The reason I bought this, they were out of my nightcap and my early morning pipe, which are my two favorite. What do you call it? Tobaccos.
Tobacco.
And this, I swear to God, this is true. This looks like the plum pudding you gave me.
Yeah.
Which was very good, and it was a plug tobacco. And I thought this, since it was not as expensive, but it was a bigger can than my normal tobaccos. I thought it was the plug tobacco. It turned out not to be, and it's just okay. It's not.
Yeah, but
bad.
plug tobacco. When
But
you open
it's
up the
not-
can, there's not much in there. That doesn't mean there's not much in there.
I've
it's
had
just
to
that it's
light my
compressed.
pipe. I've had to light my pipe like.
Go light your pipe.
No, I mean I've had to light it like 4 or 5 times.
Oh.
So this tobacco isn't sticking together as well as like the.
Is it that, or is it how you pack your pipe?
I usually, when I light my pipe, I mean, granted, when I talk more, then I have to light it more. But when I pack my pipe with
Mine's doing
nightcap
okay.
or early morning pipe, it seems to smoke well.
Well, they're a really great pipe company or tobacco company.
Yeah,
You know, and so is these
Peters.
guys. This is I said it before. This is Cornell and Deal, and they're classic pipe co. They're not Dunhill, which is out of business now. So fuck all that. Anyway, the places I want to talk about. We talked about Monty's. I found a new sushi place, which is not entirely new, but I didn't know it was there in Park Ridge, called Shakao Sushi.
Oh yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, it was nice. I had and dude, you need to be careful there because we're used to smaller sushi plates, and so we ordered like 4 or 5 of them. We had food for days. It was like going to a Greek restaurant, which is like going to a grocery store. We had so many bags going home. It was nuts.
I don't think I've been there then because I don't remember that.
It was
Must have been to a
huge,
different place.
huge portions. Very, very good. Their sake was just outstanding, and it was served in these beautiful little warmed teapots in a translucent sake cup, and I just really enjoyed that a lot. And they had a
Right up until he passed out.
yeah, and then they had a bulgogi egg roll, which damn, that is heart-stoppingly good stuff right
Wait,
there.
bukkake egg roll?
Bulgogi,
Oh, because I think
bulgogi, that's too
It
creamy
means
for me.
Something different.
Yeah,
I think.
that's more like a donut, but bulgogi is Korean barbecue in an egg roll, and it was pretty freaking good. The other place I went,
and just since you're going to another place, that's a dad joke. You might want to mention that to your dad if you know. Tell him listen to this because we tell jokes like that.
Right.
And if you don't understand
Bukkake.
it, look up bukkake.
yeah, yeah.
Egg
Go ahead,
roll.
just type it in anywhere.
Let your wife know you're
Yeah,
done.
ask your wife to do it for you.
Yeah, sure.
Say, honey, could you look up this video for me? It's called Bukkake. And if she
Egg
goes,
roll.
oh my God,
Bukkake egg roll.
you know there's a porn called that. You know it. It's Japanese. No, it's North Korean.
Chris, we have Bull has a rule. Rule 43. Whatever you can think of, it's already has a porn site devoted to it.
and a huge fan base.
And a huge fan base.
Yeah, but yeah, ask your wife to look up Bukkake egg roll. I went to an event this weekend. We finished up at one venue in Logan Square called The Whale. It was very nice. They had a nice spread of food, and the drinks were great. And it's a new kind of place. It's on right across the street from Furious Spoon in Logan Square, and I recommend it. It is wonderful. But we decided let's change venues, and so we went next door to a place called Native. which is a dive bar, and damn it, I had a good time there.
Yeah, well, I love that area. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever been to that place.
It's
but-
also across from Fury Spoon. It's a classic dive bar. It has a strange accidental nautical theme. Like, I don't think they're trying for that, but the guy behind the bar looked like Gilligan if Gilligan was if Gilligan hadn't been an idiot and like he was, he just didn't finish his liberal arts degree and instead bought a bar. It would be that guy. And they make really good drinks. One of them, which is called a Changes, which is a David Bowie drink, and it was like, imagine a tiki drink but made with Malort. And I hate Malort, and this drink was very good. So I'm recommending the Native.
All right. Okay, so that's the places we've been to this week. I have one that I am anticipating. My most anticipated restaurant opening of the year is next week, and that is the Cards Against Humanity restaurant called the Game Board Cafe.
Yeah.
I just love the concept. I'm really looking forward. I really wish they were going to have some sort of pre-opening event for media people, and I was invited to it last month, and it was postponed. And
I didn't get invited to that.
yeah, you did.
I did?
I think so.
Whoops.
But I have not gotten one for this month, and it opens next week, so I don't know. But what they've done is in the Margie's Candies building, right there in the border of Logan and Wicker Park, they built sort of an inside town square, and they have all kinds of board games. And now part of this is my imagination.
Back up. What do you mean an inside town square?
Well, that's what they describe it as. And then they're going to have street food from warm weather locales, like different street food in different areas. Now, what I imagine this to be like, and I'm really hoping that it ends up being like this. If you've ever been to the Museum of Science and Industry,
hit me again, motherfucker.
have you ever been to the Museum of Science and Industry?
I have been to the Museum of Science and Industry. Yes.
And then you walk into that little old-timey town square.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah.
I kind of have in my mind a vision of that. Maybe, I mean, obviously easier to walk on because it's cobblestone.
Like a newsy kid going, games, get your games right here.
Yeah,
I got games.
You can play street, games on little street
Stickball,
corners.
Cards Against Humanity.
And they'll be
Stoop murder.
They're selling street food and stuff, so I'm really looking forward to checking it out.
Get your peanuts.
Goes to my vision. All right. So, what? Oh, you know what? Can we go back to the? Okay, strange porn.
Sure, Dave. I don't know anything about strange porn. I've never seen any strange porn before.
This theory of is that that if there's
it's not mine, by the way. It's not my
think
theory.
of,
it's a common theory.
All right. You can think of something. There's already a porn site devoted to it. Actually came up at one point in a conversation. And
who are you having this conversation with?
It was somebody at work, and somebody had
if it's an inferior officer, then that's sexual harassment.
Had a hurt shoulder. Somebody has pain in their shoulder.
Oh yeah, I've been to that page.
Pain in your shoulder.
Yeah.
Anyway, somebody had pain in their shoulder. They were talking about how their shoulder hurts, and I said, and I said, no, wait, come
Go
on.
ahead. I'm just
I
providing the
can't
music.
do it while you're doing that. It's in my ear. All right, so they were telling me about the pain in their shoulder, and I said, my wife has one of these TENS units that you put it on, it sends electrical charges to your muscles, and it gets rid of the pain.
Oh yeah, I tried that thing.
She swears
I
by
don't
it.
like it.
Really?
It feels
she
weird. She
swears
man.
by it whenever she throws her back out, because and lately it hasn't really happened very much, but So I'm telling this, and this is something that, we've had one of these machines for years, and it never occurred to me that apparently, because this guy looked at me, started this weird smile. I'm like, what are you doing? That's right. That's all I use it for is for pain relief. I'm like, wait a minute. Like there's some double meaning to a machine that it was prescribed by a fucking doctor.
Zap me, baby.
And I had no idea that there's apparently
Turn it up to 11. What's your safe word, Dave?
Is it? There's apparently a whole porn industry around these TENS units that I had absolutely no idea, nor could I have ever imagined doing it. Even now that I've heard about it.
Oh, hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Can I borrow your?
No, now you can't. Weirdo. Hey, you know what? You cannot download porn music on Spotify. I've checked.
Yeah, you can.
No, you cannot. Not unless you actually have a name of some song that was played in a porn.
I have a channel on Pandora
maybe
that I call porn music. That is, if you listen to it, you're like, yeah, that's porn. I don't know how. I just typed in a song that I was looking for, and
why were you looking for it?
And just shut up. And so you know how Pandora works. It plays a couple of other songs to see if you're tuning in correctly. And one of the songs it played was just basically Billy Jack rape scene porn music. And so I went yes, and I clicked on that, and the whole channel is like that now. And if I put it on, people are like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I'd be like, "Nothing, baby. What are you doing?" You can only hear it properly if you're wearing a smoking jacket.
All right, so we've sort of gone off on a tangent, which ends in
Who, us?
sort of a video. So we might as well just switch topics from food to video now.
All right. Well, I was going to talk about how I'm going to make beef jerky, but I'll talk about it next week when I bring it in.
That kind of goes along with the topic.
Yeah, well, all right. Bow, bow, wow, wow. What kind of meat? Since you're lighting your pipe, I'll talk about what I saw. I watched The Lighthouse with
I haven't seen it yet.
James
so.
Patterson. I'm going to spoil the shit out of it for you. James Patterson and, God damn it, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, there you go.
And, oh, my God.
How'd you get there, by the way?
What do you mean?
How'd you find this movie? Because
it's on Amazon.
It's
featured
I know
movie on
where
Amazon.
you found it. I'm saying, are you on a Willem Dafoe? Because the last couple of movies you recommended to me are Willem Dafoe movies. Are you?
No, this is completely. Right now. Willem Dafoe and Adam Driver are in every fucking movie that you watch.
They're the Nicolas Cage of the 2020s.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, which one's Nicolas Cage? Willem Dafoe's
He
Nicolas
was
Cage.
in every movie of the 1990s.
Yeah. So Adam Driver is who?
Oh, I don't know.
Wait, I know who he is. He's the guy in the French Connection. What's his name?
Nicholas?
No.
Jack Nicholson?
No, in the French Connection.
Jack Nicholson's the only one that I remember.
He wasn't in the French Connection.
Oh, yeah, he was.
No, he wasn't.
I don't know.
All right, somebody help me out here. You're all online. So anyway, what the fuck was I talking about?
The
The
Lighthouse.
Lighthouse. So it's black and white, and it's in a square format, as if it was shot in 1903. All right, and it is. Imagine like
Is it about a lighthouse?
it is definitely, and it is shot at a real lighthouse, and the whole thing takes place in that lighthouse. And Willem Dafoe and it's not James Patterson. What is the guy's name? Pattison. He was in Twilight. Whatever, that guy. Destroy this movie. It is a horrifying film, and it's just those two guys. That's all it is. And I'm almost convinced that 80% of it was completely made up on the spot. But it is violent and shocking and creepy, and takes a look at toxic masculinity from the point of view of, 1900s somehow. And here's the thing, man. It with the camera angles and the black and white part and the weird set and the actors, they really evoke people from that time. Like, it's just, there's sometimes actors, when they're working, it's like when you're reading a book and you really disappear into it. The whole willing suspension of disbelief thing takes over, and you're in the book, you're walking around in the story, and you pop out for whatever reason, you go, damn, that guy's good. Well, when it doesn't happen, it's like whatever you're reading is a little bit of a chore. Same thing with movies. If the movie is not transporting you, you're aware that you're watching it. When you're not aware that you're watching it is when that's an amazing movie, and this is an amazing movie. Like, you are in it, and you are there, and some weird shit happens that makes you go, what the hell just happened? There's a couple of scenes in there that are like, they're like Baroque paintings. They are some of the most beautiful scenes I've ever seen, and they're in black and white.
Wow.
Yeah, and man, there's a whole
It looked interesting. I didn't get a chance to watch it last night when you told me about it.
It's intense. Listen, it's an intense movie. There's a couple of times where I was like, because I watch stuff at home now, I was like, pause. I'm like, I need a moment. That was intense. And oh man, is it? I can't recommend it highly enough.
Well, we did that pause and look back at things with the last movie you recommended, Motherless Brooklyn.
God, did you watch it in black and white?
No, I did not.
You motherfucker! Why would you not do
I
that?
swear like that. There's people listening to their kids.
No, there's okay. If you have your kids listening to this broadcast, stop. You're a terrible parent. All right, you are not good at your job.
All right, so
Motherfucker.
I forgot about the watching it in black and white until near the end, and I had the thought at the end of it.
Yeah.
That I said I turned to Annie and I started to say, this would have been really cool in black and white, and I realized, damn it, Chris told me to watch it in black and white before I even started.
I'm just gonna say that that there's a couple of contemporary movies who the people that made those movies had the best sensibility of composition and cinematography, and they're making noir movies like L.A. Noir and Blade Runner, believe it or not, and this movie. And when you turn it into black and white, it is almost as if this is a movie from the 50s. That's how perfect it is.
Wow.
Except that it would be a movie in the 50s that had like an incredible budget. Because the thing about film noir, I've been studying film noir for several years now, and one thing that is true about film noir is there was a lot of film noir movies made. A lot of crime movies were made. Not a lot of budget behind them. Most of them had no budget at all, and they shot them as much as possible. And you'll see like 4 scenes happen in a row in like an office, and the camera never changes. They're terrible. Most film noir movies are terrible, and the ones that weren't in a single set were on the premises of the studios, so they were all contained anyway. This one isn't. This one's all over New York. It's like a tour of the city.
Right.
And then, oh my God, again, Willem Dafoe.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe was phenomenal. Edward Norton, I think he directed it, and I think he wrote it too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. It was, yeah, and so he
that makes it even better.
Yeah, it was Edward Norton was fantastic in it as a guy who plays Tourette syndrome. He did a lot of research. He even got the Tourette's. He went to the Tourette's Foundation, and they made a comment that he had played this well. For
it's not like okay, to pull a phrase from Tropic Thunder, he doesn't go full retard. He's very conscientious of it. It's very realistic. He's also accurate in the terms that when the period when the story takes place, people didn't have a name for Tourette syndrome,
right? Or any kind of medication for it.
Yeah, nothing.
So
and his isn't like it's not. First of all, people always think Tourette syndrome is like listening to me on the radio, where every other word is like shit, but it's not like that. Tourette syndrome could be anything that's kind of twitchy. I knew when I researched Tourette syndrome a while back, and there's a doctor, a fucking brain surgeon, who has Tourette syndrome, and so when he's outside of the operating arena, the dude's just like, his hands are in the air, and he's like, all this stuff like that. The moment he steps up to the patient, it all goes away. And his focus is super intense, and he operates on someone's brain. Can you imagine being there and you're like, because they do brain
before
surgery.
surgery starts, you're meeting with the doctor?
He's like, fire tampon, Fort Tom Cruise. It's just crazy, man.
But yeah, it's the way they describe it. They describe the people with Tourette syndrome. He describes his condition as sort of like broken glass in his brain.
Yeah,
that sort of makes things jumbled up a little bit and come out. And it was a very interesting movie, Motherless Brooklyn.
Yeah, pick it up.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. And who else was in it? There was a bunch of guys in it.
Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis was also very good.
And
it was not only was it really good, did he play the Tourette syndrome really good? I thought that all the other people in the movie who were his friends, and
the other detectives,
the other private detectives,
Robert Carnevale was one of those guys,
and they. I thought that they played the idea. They had been friends for a long time,
like
and
from
Bruce
the army
Willis
in World War II.
Well, even before that, from the neighborhood, and Bruce Willis had kind of brought them all together. He was a little older, and they were his sort of group, and they all went off to the war together, or at least at the same time, and they were in World War II. And this takes place like in the late 40s, early 50s. It sounded like before Korea. So
yeah, I think it's like very early 50s, I think, is when it takes place.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see these other characters played his friends very well because they accepted him with his condition. They understood what his condition would do, but that didn't mean they didn't make fun of his condition.
They still busted his balls.
They
called him Freak Show.
Yeah, well,
that was his nickname.
Yeah, Freak Show or Motherless Brooklyn was his other nickname, and then so the other, but I just thought that the way they played it was right on. It wasn't like over the top one way or over the top the other. It wasn't like, we love you and we accept you for everything you are.
Super realistic, and it was a classic noir in the sense that It's one guy against the system,
Yeah.
and there's no hope for him. Oh, and here's this,
and somebody else joins the system.
yeah, and here's the sad thing to me is that I got busy when I was watching it, and I kept watching it in pieces, and my rental ran off before I saw the end, so I didn't actually see the end of the movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got to rent it again to watch.
Oh, the end is where really the black and white part you can see.
There's, I know we're talking.
Wait, how
about
far
this.
did you get in the end? Do you remember?
I got up until he had just gotten beat up in the jazz club, and it was a little bit after that.
Oh, so you don't even know the. Oh, I'm not even going to give away the ending.
Yeah, well, see, there you go. But there's so many scenes in there that are the writer and the filmmaker definitely were paying homage to that period of time, because there's like the guy that plays Chalky from Boardwalk, and he was in The Wire, played the assassination guy in The Wire. He plays a Miles Davis character. Clearly and obviously based on Miles Davis. And the music in this fucking film is outstanding. They had it was the beginning of the equality movement.
Yeah, and they really played the racial issues also very realistic, in the sense that there was some interracial.
Eminent
relations.
domain is a big part of this thing.
Eminent
and
domain,
the racism that's inherent in eminent domain decisions.
But they were able to show. Okay, right now a big deal, and people bitch and moan about whether they use it the right way or the wrong way, is institutional racism. Yeah. And personally, I think now a lot of people look at institutional racism wrong. But this movie, I thought, really showed what institutional racism is, and how even though some people can be involved in it, their personal relationships don't necessarily they're not necessarily racist they don't think they're racist, or
right.
or they're part of a racist
it was the manifest destiny, or white privilege as manifest destiny is definitely part of it.
I don't even think it was. I think when they get away near the end from the white privilege idea, and to make it what I think really happens is the clouded people taking care of their own.
I just think that what we saw,
and when they're white, it can be construed as racism. But really, if there's if these are politicians taking care of other politicians, and one politician who thinks he's the boss, and Tammany Hall type stuff, but it's all about them taking care of themselves and screw everybody else. And now, if you happen to be everybody else and you're black, well, then you think it's racism. If you happen to be everybody else and you're white, then you think it's poor. They're rich against poor, or cronyism. It's more, I think, cronyism.
I think the other cool thing about that movie that is, I hope people talk about down the line, is how the crowd in the bureau area thing, all right, whatever that's called, the bad guys, the small group of men in that reflected the detectives. Right? Because the detectives are the good guys, and the guys that are doing all the eminent domain stuff are the bad guys. But they're the same. It's like the same number of guys, and they reflected them in their opposites. So we're talking about this way too much, but I think the last word on this: Edward Norton and the people that made that movie have created a classic that is going to endure.
But nobody. My problem is I never heard of it before you mentioned it.
Yeah, I know it did not get play.
Yeah,
but it is part of the noir resurgence. God damn it! And hopefully, I will also be part of that.
All right. So, So what are we at?
We're still in media, but I don't know what else we're going to talk about.
No, I think I'm talking about how much time are we at?
Oh, I don't know how to tell time, so I don't know how to. I mean, it's 5:47.
All right, so we got about 10, 15 minutes. So let's go to politics. And I titled the podcast this week the Iowa Caucus of Podcasts, because our podcast, especially at the startup, is usually like the Iowa Caucus.
It almost never works. In fact, I'm beginning to think we're going to happen is at the end of this hour, we're going to realize the only thing that worked was our watch party, and everything else didn't work. Except that can't be true.
Well, I don't know. I at the beginning I looked at YouTube. We were on YouTube, so we'll see.
Everything went right. That's so weird.
It is. It's weird.
This is the first time ever.
We're taking on the Iowa Caucus mantle, and eventually they're going to have to fix everything. So we'll see.
That's true.
What do you think? Now, this has been in politics an incredible week.
Yeah, very odd.
I watched the State of the Union from beginning to end for the first time in probably 30 years, since I was in high school and was forced to do it for homework. I don't think I've watched a full State of the Union since Ronald Reagan was in office.
Oh, my God.
And, I mean, I watched it from beginning to end, and I watched some of the coverage afterward.
I did not.
And you didn't at all?
No, I recorded it, but I pointedly did not watch it on purpose, and instead I watched octopus escape videos. So that could be as far away from it media-wise as possible.
Well, did you see highlights of it? Did you see?
I saw highlights of it.
Did you see Pelosi tearing up the speech?
Yeah, I'm glad she did that. Hell, I'd do that too. Everyone's like, that's so undignified. I'm like, that dude made fun of, while president, he made fun of a crippled guy. Fuck you, people.
Oh.
She did something that was rebellious and on purpose.
Yes, but she also lost the. She has, and I have to say, although I don't like Nancy Pelosi, she has done very well in painting herself as the adult in the room, the more dignified of the three of the. When I'm talking about Trump, Schumer, and Pelosi, that she has been the most dignified of the three. She's been the mom. She's been the. And now she lost that. I mean, she can't say
whatever
that she is not.
That was not undignified. That was purposeful, and it was symbolic. And I think it's one of the best things she's done. It was better than her little mom clap. I think it was great.
And she started off by not introducing him the way that the normal introductions would be.
I didn't mean. All I saw is he wouldn't shake her hand. And although that just might be him not noticing.
That, you know what? I
or as
saw
she
that,
said, he's medicated.
I saw that. I saw that, and I at first I thought it was strange, but then when I looked again, I realized he didn't shake Pence's hand either.
Yeah,
and he handed them a speech.
You don't know where Pence's hand has been. So.
He handed them each a copy of the speech, as is traditional, and then he turned away. And I meant to go back and look and see if they normally shake hands at the beginning or the end of the speech. I kind of remember they do. But I wasn't sure. And it didn't look like he intentionally did not shake her hand. He didn't shake either one of their hand. And, I think if he wanted to make a point, he would have shook Pence's hand and then not shook her.
Yeah.
And then she turned around, she introduced him in a disrespectful way. And then stood behind him. And now there's a lot of things. It wasn't just the tearing up the speech. She was obviously talking behind him and making faces and being very
we've
juvenile.
never seen that before.
We've never seen that from the vice president or the Speaker of the House.
We have seen that from the Speaker of the House back when Obama was president. The guy whose name I can't remember sitting behind him oftentimes didn't stand up, and oftentimes
not standing up is traditional. But didn't make faces and was respectful.
I can't believe of
all
the shit.
Paul Ryan was the Speaker
no, it was the other guy, not Paul Ryan, the other guy.
John Boehner.
Yeah, John Boehner.
I don't think
and he made faces and stuff.
I don't think he made faces.
It's first of all.
And then
defend the party if you want to, but don't defend Trump. Trump's not part of your party.
I'm not talking.
He's an idiot.
I'm
and
talking
don't defend
about
him, man.
I'm talking about the Democrats' actions, not Trump's actions.
Well, I think Nancy Pelosi did something important, and I'm glad she did it.
Also, I would also say, talking about the State of the Union speech, when Barack Obama was president, there was a guy who stood up and said he lied in the middle of the
I remember
State of the
that.
Union. And it was a huge controversy.
I remember that.
And in this State of the Union, the Democrats all got up and started chanting in the middle of his speech.
Oh, shit, I missed that.
Which was extremely disrespectful. But you know what?
Is it
disrespectful?
disrespectful?
And I am. It is. Yeah,
How?
And I am, because it was
not
all,
a fucking
I'm sorry.
church.
It was always disrespectful before. Now, I know when it comes to Democrats, when Trump came to office, everything's out the window.
Well, everything has gone out the window when Trump came to us.
Now, and by the way,
normal, man.
I'm not just saying the Democrats are bad too. At the beginning of his speech, some of the Republican congressmen started chanting 4 more years. That was, I thought, really lousy too. And so I'm not just saying that there's a lot of norms that are getting thrown out the window. But I do think that the leadership of the Democratic Party has, up until recently, made the point that they're not the ones throwing the norms out the window, and they no longer can make that after the speech.
After just those 2 things?
Well, there's several things I just mentioned, but you didn't.
Pelosi and the chanting.
Yeah, those two. Well, definitely the introduction and the tearing up of the speech on Pelosi's part. Well, yeah. Normally, what the speaker says is, To the Congress, it is my high honor and distinct privilege to introduce the President of the United States. And she left all that off and just said, members of Congress, the President of the United States. Which, yeah, I mean, well, to a Democrat is funny, and
Not because I'm a Democrat.
it's because I have firmly believed for a long time that the Democrats really don't care about the tradition, and she
you're
had
wrong
put
about
lie to that argument for years, and now she's just giving it up. So,
Well,
but I thought the speech. I thought he stayed on topic. I thought the speech, the way it was structured and written, was fantastic. I think whoever the hell wrote the speech, because the presidents don't write their own speeches. Barack Obama, with the exception of that one really great speech when he was a senator, did not write his own speech. He didn't sit down in the friggin' Oval Office for several hours writing the State of the Union. They have speechwriters.
yeah, he did.
And
He
I
worked
think that
with the speechwriters, and yes, he did spend that time. He did. Look it up.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Somebody break
it's
in and
extremely
tell me-
naive
At
for
least-
you to
at
think
least
that
the
Barack
Taliban-
Obama spent all that time by himself writing a speech.
It's not naive.
It is.
The dude was a writer.
Presidents all have speechwriters.
He did have speechwriters.
And-
They worked together, but he did write
And
his speeches.
Barack Obama had some fantastic speechwriters.
Yes, he did.
And wrote great speeches. And I have to say, whenever Donald Trump stays on teleprompter and reads, gives a speech as it's written, he does very well. And whoever wrote this speech wrote it a beautiful speech.
I wonder who wrote it. I didn't even look up. I wonder who wrote it.
I don't think they tell you until after the presidents are out of office.
You could look it up.
You can look up who the speechwriters
You
are.
know who did write their own speech?
Who?
Mitt Romney.
All right, great. Yeah. Mitt Romney. I do. So you like Mitt Romney? What he did,
I like that.
and you have a lot of respect for Mitt Romney,
I have that much respect for Mitt Romney.
right? Because
That's
5 minutes ago he was a racist, misogynistic.
I never
killer.
called him racist.
Democrat. I love how Democrats are now talking about how great Mitt Romney is and how wonderful he is and how what a statesman he is.
Whatever,
and
it's
when
politics.
he ran
Shit
for
flips
president, he was a misogynistic, racist killer
I didn't call
that
him racist.
actually killed people
I didn't
by
call him
taking
racist.
away their money.
I never called him racist. I did say he was misogynistic a little bit.
Joe
because his
Biden said that he
folders
actually wanted
full
to
of
bring
women.
back slavery. That
Well, he
Mitt
lives on
Romney,
N-word Lake.
the most milk toast religious moderate Republican, wanted to put all black people back in chains, is how he put it. And so I just love seeing Democrats now because he hates Donald Trump and he did what he believed to be true or believed to be right. I do believe that he is an honorable man who believed that by giving that vote he was doing the right thing.
So I
in
can't
his mind.
participate in that belief?
No, I don't like the way the coverage has been that they're all being really nice to Mitt Romney when 5 minutes ago they were talking about he put a dog up on top of his car, drove across the
Well, we
country.
were laughing about that because he did do that.
No,
I mean,
they
I
weren't
can do
laughing
both.
about that. They were talking about how
We
horrible
can do
he was.
both. We can do both, man.
All right, so you think he's a racist and a misogynist?
I never said he was racist.
Well, Democrats said he was a racist.
Okay, but I'm not all Democrats.
All right.
I'm just the Democrat on this
So you think
radio
he's a
show.
misogynist?
Probably not. I mean, he's a Mormon, so but he did have a binder full of women. I mean, that was
There
him,
you
right?
go.
That was him. I mean, it was real. It really happened. You got to point to it and say that really happened. But he's probably not a misogynist.
Yeah.
But I mean, I wouldn't vote for him. But I like that he did that. I thought it took balls because he is going to get reamed.
Do you think it took balls for the Democrats who voted against the impeachment in the House? Or were they just idiots?
They're idiots. Yeah.
That's why, you got to love Chris because he actually wears his bias on his sleeve.
Damn right.
He doesn't care.
I don't care.
Uh,
I am not required to keep a some sort of unified stance. I can do anything I want.
right.
I don't have an office. I don't have a responsibility. I don't have a. I'm not in service to the country. I don't have a job description that says that. I'm not in charge of anything. I'm just some crazy motherfucker. And on top of all that, if you guys look me up, I'm humorous. And by the way, look at my hat. So yeah, I can say anything I want because it doesn't fucking matter.
And that's another reason why I don't tell politics because he doesn't really believe anything. You know what? My chair's going down.
Yeah, well, that's
get
because you're a
I gotta
Republican,
get a
Dave. I'm a Democrat. My chair's doing fine.
I got to get a new chair. All right,
So
so
vote, people.
now the Iowa
Yeah,
caucuses.
yeah.
Let's get back to the Iowa caucus because
So weird, man.
when we started off this podcast, if you didn't see it, go back and look at the beginning. We were talking about conspiracy theories.
I don't want to share in conspiracy theories about the Iowa caucus for real, okay? but it was a particularly bizarre thing to happen.
Yeah, but these things happen.
I
And
don't
lately-
think the DNC likes Bernie Sanders.
I don't either, and
I think they hate him. I think they're scared of him, and I think that they don't want him to be their guy.
And I am really starting to think that they are that there's some kind of conspiracy against Bernie Sanders. I don't even like the guy, but I'll tell you what.
I love Bernie Sanders.
If you go back to 2016 and you think of how the Republican primary went in 2016, I think
Republican or
that if the
Democrat?
Republicans could have put together some kind of campaign to get rid of Donald Trump, now looking back, I think they would have. And
nobody took him seriously. That's why
nobody took him seriously. And I think they maybe the Democratic Party is taking Bernie seriously, and they really are trying to get rid of him.
Well, if you think about where his money comes from, that's one reason to take him seriously, because all of his donations are small donations, and he's got a shit ton of money. He's got an enormous. That represents the people who are definitely going to vote for him. They are committed because they sent money to him, so they're committed. They're definitely going to vote for him, and he's got a lot of
but
them.
he also spends money like a drunken sailor, and he's going to get
I don't
outspent
know
by
anything about
Bloomberg.
that.
But let me ask you
Who's
this:
not going to get outspent by Bloomberg
Yeah. Let me ask you this though,
or Steyer?
and I think that the DNC, the Democratic Party people, are looking at this from one point of view, and I wonder how you as a Democrat would think this. If Bernie loses, and I mean, there according to 538, there's a real good chance he's not going to get the nomination. My chair is lowering as I speak.
Because you're a Republican.
I gotta get this chair.
You can't take the high road.
All right, but
538 is one of the only political websites that I give absolute credence to.
Well, they have
they're
a model.
fantastic.
They have a model, and now Bernie rose after the Iowa caucuses, but he's still he's not picked to get a majority of the delegates. But let's say Joe Biden comes back, his firewall holds in South Carolina, he wins Super Tuesday, he walks in and wins at the convention, gets all the delegates, and he's the nominee. Do the Bernie bros go out and vote for Joe Biden?
If Bernie tells them to, I think they will.
I'm telling you, I think that's what the DNC thinks, that they're going to end up losing the election because he's not going to win, and they're not going to vote for a nominee. They're going to stay home. They're not going to vote for Trump. They're just not going to go to the polling places on election day. I think that
That's kind of what happened last time.
that's kind of what happened last time.
They're not taking something else into consideration too,
What's that?
and that is the new generation of first-time voters that are coming on deck beginning now, and will be voting in November. A significant number of them are basically baby activists, and I think that some of the lower tier Democrats are who they're going to be looking at. So I think some of these kids like Yang, I think they like Klobuchar, and I think they like Sanders, and I think that they're going to show that in the Super Tuesdays and in the caucuses coming up. I think you're going to see that because they're very committed.
Yeah.
They really are. They have an energy.
I think they're not
They're
taking
pissed off.
I think they're not taking those people seriously. And
I don't think they are.
Nor should they. Because
What do you mean, nor should they?
No.
Why?
Young people don't vote.
I see. This is where you and I differ because I think this year they're going to prove that not to be true.
Nope.
You don't think the young
I
people are going to
absolutely
vote?
don't think so.
I think they're going to vote this year more than they have in the last
do your kids
25
vote?
years. Yes, absolutely.
Really?
Both my kids vote.
My kids will argue with me all day long, and they're busy on election day.
No, I took my kids to elections every year as they were growing up. I made a big deal out of it. I took them in. I took them into the booth with me. I let one of them, do the work for me.
So do I.
And my son is. I think he's going to end up going into politics because he changed his whole career path to go into history.
No, I won't.
You don't
He
think so?
shaved his head. He's
He did.
done.
He did shave his head recently. But if you want to have a conversation with Connor, just start talking politics and get some ear plugs because he's loud.
No, because the problem with I don't know. There's a lot of these talking politics with Connor. If he's still the same as he was when he was 10 or 11,
Well, he's changed a little.
is the same problem I have with talking politics with a lot of young kids. And
Like my nephews, remember that?
oh god, yeah. and it's just that, you know what? when I talk politics with somebody who is my equal, somebody who's my age.
You have equals?
Somebody who's my age with my level of
107,
experience.
107.
I am much more willing to accept the declarative statements of a 50-year-old man who's had to pay taxes for
55,
whatever, and live. When you have a declarative statement made by an 18-year-old kid who just thinks that you're so stupid because of your 30 years of experience paying taxes means nothing compared to what AOC says, the bartender from New York.
Okay, Boomer. Oh, she can't do anything because she's a bartender.
No. I'm just saying.
Why did you have to mention that?
She's
not a bartender, by the way. She's a congresswoman.
I am at that age.
She's not a bartender. She's a congresswoman.
I am at that age.
So why did you say bartender?
I am at that age where I was talking about the last election. I am at that age where I am like, yeah, right, kid. Get some experience and then come talk to me. And
okay, Boomer.
And my problem is not. My problem with young kids is, and AOC is an epitome of this, is that the idea that we can't have a discussion and an argument and try to convince each other. It's, I'm right. Did you not say I'm right? Then you're an idiot. That's the way, especially with this younger generation of politics work. And I'm like, listen.
Well, who trained them?
Yeah, no shit, right?
Who trained them? It's not like that came out of nowhere, man. They're modeling our behavior.
But they're going to college, and this is the way they're getting taught in college. You see this kid, the video of this kid?
They're not getting taught that in college.
They are getting.
No, they're not.
They have a video of some kid at ASU talking about how he wanted to slash all Republicans' throats. We should kill them all.
Yeah, he's not. There's probably not a class on that.
Yeah, go to Oberlin.
And he's not representative. All right, I mean that's
I
Dave,
beg to differ.
Dave, don't pull the wild. Don't cherry pick like that.
I
man.
think kids. I understand.
But you know what?
No matter how many examples you give to Chris, he will tell you that each one is its own separate example, and you can't take that as representative of the entire Democratic Party. However, you could take Donald Trump, and he's representative of the entire Republican Party.
I just said 10 minutes ago that he is not part of your party.
Or whoever. Yeah, I mean, it's just...
Check your sources, Dave!
You can't say... okay,
first of all,
listen,
I want to go back and tell you, I am a humorist. I am not a politician.
You cannot tell me...
I don't have a platform.
You cannot tell me, and I defy anybody who's our age to tell me that kids these days are somehow, whether it's our fault or the school's fault or somebody's fault, are not getting the idea that you have to agree with me or you're evil and should die.
Well, you know what? If you want the schools to do a better job, give them more money.
No.
Yeah.
If you want to do schools a better job,
teachers should be paid the same as cops.
Teachers are paid more than cops.
Teachers should be paid 6 figures starting out, and so should cops. A cop should start out at 6 figures.
I don't think anybody should start out at 6 figures, but that's.
Why the fuck not?
Because we don't have the money.
Dude, people that get shot should start out at 6 figures. People that can get shot should start out at $100,000 a year.
Wage, but 6 figures is just a random number you made up.
They should start out at $100,001 a year. Should be their starting
salary. What is that based on?
Based on me saying it?
Yeah, that's it. You just made it up.
Again, not an expert. I'm just a guy. I don't represent anybody.
I believe that teachers and everything should make a good salary. I personally think that teachers and cops should be paid the same, but they're not. Teachers are paid more, at least in Chicago. And but
not that it's helping.
But I think we have to figure out a way to get back to civil discussions of politics.
I'll tell you how. Here's how it's going to happen. And it's going to take the next 15 years. First of all these old motherfuckers on both sides in Congress need to die or get voted out and get some new, fresh, young people in there. Second, and more women and more people of color in Congress. That's really important. Secondly,
how about just the best people in every district?
Well, the best people in this
I think we should not worry about what color they are unless they're being discriminated against.
I definitely do think we should. I think we need to purposefully try to change the balance so that it represents the landscape better. And I think that we need to the next thing that I think is going to happen is I think that news, is it the Glass-Steagall thing? Is that the name of the decision to allow? We should break the ability of media companies to have a monopoly in the media. And the person who screwed that up, I hate to say it, was Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton enacted, and if I'm wrong, somebody just correct me. Again, not an expert. The Glass-Steagall decision that said that, yeah, sure, the Tribune can own a radio station, a TV station, 3 or 4 newspapers. They can own them all. They shouldn't be allowed to. There should be a limit because we need to have a multitude of voices and a multitude of points of view in order to have a representative fourth estate. Finally, now that pot is becoming legal more often, growing hemp should become a major job and a major industry so we can use hemp to make paper and quit using trees. It's cheaper, and we'll be able to bring back print media, which I think does a excellent job because you can't click on anything. So when you open up page 4 or page 3 on the left, on page 4 on the right is a story you may not have clicked on if you're online, but because it's in a newspaper, it's in your face, and so you are exposed to stories that are outside of your lane.
Well,
and that is where our problem lies, is we're all stuck in a narrow lane.
I agree with the hemp argument. I don't know if that would work. I'd love it if it did.
Well, why don't we do print? Why is print losing to online stuff?
I think because it's the convenience.
The convenience and convenience as expressed through cost, because it costs nothing.
Part of it. I think that's part of it.
It costs nothing to start a blog. Nothing.
Right. I think that's part of it.
We've shown that.
But I also think that and this is going back to younger generations. I mean, and even though I'm older, I have completely completely switched over to electronic media. I don't see myself going back.
Yeah, it's probably hope,
and that
wishes on my part.
Yeah, and I mean, I like the idea. I do occasionally read in a paper and I like it, but I would love to see that. It's one of those things. It's wishes and dreams. But
I like this new app that I got that shows you the media bias for whatever story you're reading, and it shows you not only the bias of whoever's reporting the story, but it spreads it out. You can see other people reporting the story in their landscape of bias. Yeah, I think something like that needs to be on every website. You need to be able to have an emblem of authenticity on your website, and those things should be expensive and difficult. And they should really matter. And people would eventually start only getting their news from places that are verified to be a good news source.
And if they're expensive, then it'll be only the people that can afford to do it.
Good.
Well, all right.
Good. Because you know what? If you can't afford to do the news right, you should not do the news. It's not a joke. It's not a hobby. Distributing news should be a profession, not a hobby. It should take some money to get into that.
I'll tell you what. I had, and this is just a microcosm of why I would disagree with that. Just an example. We had an accident over on Central Avenue the other day. I was there, and there was some guy who was off to the side with his phone taking pictures, and I thought it was some gawker who just decided to stop and take pictures. And I started to walk over to him, and he walked away. Not because I was walking over to him. It was obvious that he had finished taking pictures and was walking away and didn't notice me, and I wasn't going to go chasing him. And I was wondering who this guy was. The next day, I saw that picture that he took from that angle, and the only one over in that angle, the picture he took was in the Sun-Times, and the story was obviously written by this guy. And this is a guy with a phone.
They take good pictures.
Yeah, they take good pictures. But this is a guy who's a reporter who was obviously a freelance guy because I looked up his name.
Stringer.
Okay,
that's what they're called.
All right. I mean, so what if he can't get a certificate of authenticity so would papers not buy his stuff?
No, his story would be printed through the Sun-Times. The Sun-Times has the authenticity, not the individual. So a freelancer wouldn't need it. The Sun-Times would have it.
But a freelancer, okay, first of all, there's two reasons. How would the Sun-Times know whether the freelancer was being authentic? So that
Jesus Christ, you ask him, first of all, when that guy turns in a story, it doesn't just go online. There's a staff of people that story is processed by, even if he's a freelancer. And so they go through it and they do things like call him back and they say, we don't understand this part, or we need you to double check this fact.
All right, if that's true, okay.
Okay, not if, Dave. That is how news works.
Okay.
God damn it, Dave.
All right.
It's how it works.
I understand what you're saying. And if it's true, then I would agree with you.
What do you mean if?
Because, Chris, there's things that are wrong in the media.
Okay, that's true. The media is not perfect, but
I
that
know.
is the process
and
that it
all
goes
I'm saying, if that's still the correct process, you haven't been in a newsroom in 10 years. if that's still the correct process and that's still the industry standard, then I kind of like that. But I also like the idea of people being able to go out and make news on their own on a blog. And the second thing
I don't like that.
Freelance.
I am a freelancer.
Okay, but you're not a freelancer in California
No.
because there are no freelancers in California.
Yeah, they kind of fucked that up.
Yeah, and if
It'll change.
I hope. If not,
they're already
if
working
that
on
starts
it.
spreading across the country, I mean, look at New York is starting to do kind of the same thing where they're getting rid of stuff like that. So hopefully that'll change, but that would undercut your thing too. Oh wait, well the first thing was
They're different things.
I kind of agree with you though I kind of agree with you on the media and the ownership, and then there was the first thing though that I damn disagree with you. I can't remember what it was.
Well, the first thing I talked about was monopoly ownership.
No, that wasn't. There was one thing before that.
Well, I don't know.
Oh, we have to upend to make the things look like the landscape, but the Congress look like
Yeah.
the landscape. All right, so let me ask you this: we live in the 5th congressional district. The district that we live in is 30% black, 30% white, and 30% Latino and whatever other. So, who should get elected in that?
Whoever the people want.
Okay. What if the people? Well, that's my point. You can't. But you just said you think we should. How are you going to change the way Congress is made up to look more like the landscape if the landscape is equal and the people are getting an equal vote and the people are voting in who they want to vote in? You're saying that we should make them want to vote somebody else in.
I am saying that because what's wrong with that? I mean,
Not that as long as you're not forcing it.
you can't force it.
I mean, I would
What the
be.
fuck do you think I'm saying?
I think you're saying that we have to make sure that there are. That we
Oh,
you
good
said
God.
we have to
Okay.
upend
Not
we have to have
from-
more women and more people of color, and we should make sure that Congress looks like the landscape in which they are.
I should have clarified
Thank
that.
you.
I don't think that some shadow government should reach in and make it happen. I think that the people should take into consideration those things, and I would like for people to vote more people of color and more women onto every position. I don't think the government should make it
All right.
happen. I think the people should make it
Okay, all
happen.
right. That's as long as you
What
clarify.
the fuck
that.
did you think I meant?
I thought you meant that we wanted shadow government to make sure that there would have to be a certain number of people of color, a certain number of
good
women. And a
Christ,
certain,
no, that's
that people
not what I
talk
said.
about that.
Well, those are dumb people.
Yeah, I know.
Those are idiots. There's no such thing as a shadow
All right.
government.
So let me ask you this: do you think that people would vote more for party over, like we have? All right, this past election for Attorney General of Illinois, we had Kwame Raoul who won, African American man, and Erica Holder who lost, who was an African American woman. Let's assume that Kwame Raoul didn't run and was a white male Democrat. Do you think that people should vote more for their party, what people politically believe, or should they vote more for, getting in different people of color? I'm asking I'm not what all Democrats. I'm asking, what would you?
Well, I'll tell you how I do it.
Because you are more intersectional. You told me before you vote a lot of intersectional stuff.
All right, here's how I vote. All right, first of all, I am not well informed.
Yeah.
If you're listening right now and you have not yet figured that out by listening to me, I'm not well informed. That doesn't mean I don't have an opinion, because I'm fucking allowed to have an opinion. It just means my opinion comes from a place of screaming, not from a place of research. So during election season, I obviously know who I want to vote for president, and usually for some of the higher positions because I've thought about it and I've read a lot of stuff. But when it comes down to circuit court judges, I've never ever done that research except for 1 year when I was helping my sister-in-law run for judge. But other than that, I rarely do that because I forget and because I don't have time and whatever. And I don't look up who should be the clerk, and I don't look up who should be running the board of water or anything. I don't look those things up. So when I'm in the booth, obviously, my first point is I want it to be a Democrat. My second thing is, given more than one choice, and given that my knowledge of them is equal, I will choose the woman over the man, and I will choose the person of color over. Somebody else if I know them to be such. If I don't, then I go for in the most racist way possible, I choose a woman with a super ethnic name, like a Polish woman,
regardless of their politics. So if
I don't care about their politics right now.
okay,
Yeah, that's not what I'm.
no, if you know one's a Republican, one's a Democrat, would that be the first thing you would say?
Well, I mean, unless I know something about that candidate that makes me want to vote for them because if they're outside of my party.
Okay.
If I have reason to vote for them because they're outside of my party, if I can, I will.
All right.
I'm not a blind voter in terms of that, but I am kind of a blind voter. And so what I do is I choose women and I choose people of color whenever I can, given that all things are equal. Now, if there's a white dude in office or a white dude running for office who just happens to be like, hits all my buttons and other people don't, then I will vote for that guy.
Right.
But he better be fucking Jesus, because I'm not going to vote for him if he's not rocking rocking everything.
I mean, I generally, there's very few people that I would vote for regardless of what their political beliefs are. One of them being Jesse White. I will vote for him till the man dies. He's about 150 years old.
I think politics are stupid. I think policy.
But Jesse White has been a hero
smart.
of mine since I was a kid. But let's stop there for a second, because first of all, Robert Shaw just posted a comment that in California there's loopholes for freelancers in media, which I didn't know. So I'm glad to hear that, because I was under the impression that they wiped out.
They did this mostly for the Uber drivers and the
I understand
DoorDash people.
what they wanted to do, but
Yeah.
it seemed like they just killed the gig economy for everybody. And then the other thing was, all right. So the last topic, because we're over an hour. This year I am taking a Democrat ballot in the primary,
That's so
which
cool.
I do occasionally, because John Garrido's running for judge.
Yep.
So
I'm also voting Democrat for that reason.
for judge. So vote for John Garrido for judge. But I have to decide who I want to vote for president.
Please vote for Bernie Sanders.
I'm leaning towards Tom Steyer. I mean, you know what? I don't really care a
That's
whole
just
lot.
you voting for Trump, then.
No, it's not. It's because you don't vote for the person you think is going to win, do you? All the time?
When it comes down to presidential thing, in the primaries, like in March, no, I don't. I vote for the person that
you
I
agree with the most, right?
Yeah, I vote for the person. Okay, so for instance, the year that Hillary was running, I loved Hillary. All right, but I like Bernie more. So in the primaries, I voted for Bernie. Yeah. But in the presidential thing, clearly, I voted for Hillary.
And now I'm taking a Democratic ballot of the Democrats. The one that when I listen, because I listen to all the debates and everything, the one that I sounded the most reasonable to me, and really it's his climate change stance, was Tom Steyer. The one that I thought was most closely to my beliefs.
Well, I got to say, Tom Steyer, I also agree with a lot of the things he says. Same thing with Klobuchar. I love her. I think she's great. But I like Bernie Sanders because I think that we need a radical in there for a little while. I do.
Yeah,
he's
Trump's not radical enough.
He's not my kind of radical. And I think we need my kind of radical in there, because the GOP that's current, and I'm not saying it's Trump, because I don't think Trump could do much but eat Doritos and yell at the TV. I think the people in his administration have done incredible damage to our justice system, and it really bothers me. At the granular level of the judiciary branch in the circuits and stuff like that, they've really been working under the radar and really, really hard to change the landscape to be as conservative as possible. Which, fine, that's your politics, that's okay. But obviously, I don't like it. And also, it bothers me because this is the first time that I think that people have worked that hard on it, and it kind of concerns me a little bit. Well, why are they paying so much attention to the judicial branch at the granular level?
It's not like he's set a record. Although he did say that he was wrong.
He who?
Trump.
Again, I don't think Trump has a goddamn thing to do with it.
All right, but
it's his administration.
I'm talking about appointing judges. It's not like he set a record for appointing the most judges.
I'm not well informed.
But and I'm just saying that the Republicans will appoint, and one of the promises that he has kept right down the line is he appointed the judges he said he was going to appoint. The presidents get to appoint their judges. When Democrats are in there, they appoint more liberal judges. Republicans are in there, they appoint more conservative judges. It all equals out in the end. Yeah. And I think that you can't say that we should only. I mean, part of the problem with our politics is that we say, well, okay, well, you can you can be a Republican as long as you do what I want, or you can be a Democrat as long as you point to judges that I want. Or you can't do that. I mean, these elections mean things. He's did what he said he was going to do, and I think personally, I think the judges. I'm much more conservative when it comes to judicial stuff. I absolutely believe we should follow the Constitution. I believe it's not a living document. We should follow the laws as they are written, and let the Congress write different laws.
That makes it a living document.
What?
If they change it, if they write new laws.
No, they can write laws and they can change things, but they. What I don't like is I don't like the judiciary changing the laws based on their personal brand of politics. Legislature should write the laws, the executive branch should execute the laws, and the judicial branch should interpret the laws that are written by Congress.
Sometimes their interpretation influences the legislators.
Well, that's what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to say, they're supposed to interpret it and say, you should write the law. If you want it to do this, you should write it thus, and not.
Well, also the way they do it from the bench when they're actually enforcing the laws. The way that they enforce the laws sometimes informs and influences the legislators.
Well, yeah. So that the executive branch does too. That's that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yes.
What I don't like is I don't like appointing judges who are going to say, okay, well, we're not going to enforce this law, and you don't have to. I mean, it's just. Yeah. I have a problem with our state's attorney because she doesn't execute the laws. She decides, well, I'm not going to prosecute this law. That's not your job. Your job is to prosecute the laws, go to your legislator, and have them change it if you don't like the way the laws are. But don't get elected to something and say, I'm not prosecuting that person anymore.
How is she allowed to say that if it's not part of her job? Does she have the power to do that?
Well, she's the prosecutor. She has.
Well, then it is part of her job.
Not to prosecute something.
Then it is part of her job.
But you're not supposed to. If the state legislature says it's against the law to steal from a store, then an elected bureaucrat is supposed to enforce that law, not decide I'm not going to enforce that law.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, my biggest problem with the police department these days is we're the bad guys. We go and we arrest somebody because there's a law in the books that says you can't do thus. We arrest you for it.
40-year arc, a 50-year arc, maybe even a 60-year arc.
Prosecutor throws out that arrest. So now we look bad to the people who were the victims because we didn't do nothing because they don't see the prosecutors. They see the police. And this guy's back on the street. This guy just threatened somebody with a gun, and he's back on the street today. That means the people in the community think the police aren't doing anything. And the people in that guy's family think that the police are lying because they arrested him, and then the prosecutor let him go. And it's a recipe for disaster. So I think that I am for anybody who says the legislature writes the law, the executive branch executes the law, the judiciary interprets the law, and let's just let the chips fall where they may. You don't like the law? Go to your state rep and have it changed. It just seems simple to me. All right.
Well, that's our show.
That's actually, we're overtime.
Thank you for listening. Thank you all those people on the watch party who chimed in and were texting me different things, like Robert Shaw and the rest of you.
And we will be back next Friday at 5, right? Next Friday's not the week you have to do it early?
The 21st is when I have to do it early.
Maybe we should do it at 4 because it's Valentine's Day.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Well, next Friday we'll be at 4. We'll put an announcement on YouTube and on
Dave's taking me out to a
Facebook.
really nice place.
Yeah. What?
What?
No. All right.